Kia ora, welcome. Today what we're going to do is a lovely short and sweet yoga session that really gives us a from the tips of your toes up to the crown of your head stretch in the body. So this would be a good one to keep on hand when you just feel that little bit of stiffness sort of all over, when you might think, oh, where am I tight? Where do I need to work into? And you can't even specify a point because you just might feel generally a little bit tense. I think it's a lovely way to wrap up the week. So on a Sunday, it's a beautiful day to just take stock of how your body's feeling, what you've done during the week, and give yourself a little bit of a reset coming into that Monday morning. So we'll start seated. Bring yourself into a comfortable cross leg, maybe using a pillow or a cushion to elevate your hips so that your knees can sink lower. And then let your hands just gently rest on the knees. Or you can take whichever gesture feels right for you with the hands. So maybe it's palms facing up. Maybe it even feels good to bring your thumbs to your heart. Once you've found that comfortable natural space, send your awareness inward and connect with the sensation of your breath. Just notice the rise of the belly with your inhale, the expansion of the rib cage, the breath arriving in that higher space, your upper chest. And then notice when you let your breath go, try to slow it down and be aware of the breath leaving the body from the bottom upward. So the belly empties first, then the breath leaves the rib cage and then exits via that upper chest space. A complete filling and a complete emptying. Maybe each breath just challenging yourself to breathe more fully. Can I take in a little extra air? Can I expel a little extra air? How fully can I experience the breath? And then a visualization of that breath swirling around the body from the tips of your toes, through your legs, your sit bones, your hips, along your spine, the back of the rib cage, the back of the shoulders, filling the space in your neck with fresh oxygen, and also all around your head and arriving in your brain. Feel that nourishment of breath. One more deep inhalation here. And really let it go on your exhale. Gently fluttering the eyes open. Bringing first your legs out in front. Starting to connect to the feet. So first by pointing and then flexing the feet. So send the toes as far forward as you can, really stretch across the front of your ankles, and then reverse. So the heels point forward and the toes curl in towards the body, a flex of the foot. Forward and back. And after a few rounds pointing and flexing, start to circle the feet. So coming in towards one another and then circling around, create the flex. Bring the big toes together to touch, circle around. And you'll notice now that it actually starts to use a rotation right up to the sit bones to create this movement. See how deeply you can send the toes forward and backward, making that circle. stop and now just change direction so they come apart from one another and then back together. Hopefully those noises aren't too much interference on this video, so we'll find out. Ooh, coming back to stillness here. And then starting to send a stretch up our lower legs. So we'll swing the legs around nice and gently. And first coming to the back of the feet to a toe crusher stretch. So send your body weight forward onto your knees, tuck your toes under so you're on the balls of your feet. So it looks like this from the side on view. And then very gently just start to send your hips back to your heels. Take your time to arrive here. And depending how you're feeling through the feet, you might want to keep yourself leaning forward and rested on your fingertips and just ease into this stretch. Pause for a few breaths, see how it feels along the back of the feet. And then if you're craving a little bit more intensity, maybe you've been working on your feet a lot in the week, I know I have, then you might sit back onto the heels fully so the weight comes off of the hands. And then you can think about extending tall through the crown of the head, long spine, soft gaze. And just feel that rush of blood into the back of the feet. If it becomes too intense at any point, please sit back up. You can also add a cushion between your sit bones and your heels. One more breath in and let it go. Leaning yourself forward, untucking the toes and just gently patting the front of the feet onto the mat. And then we'll change directions to stretch the front of the ankle a little more intensely than we already have. So sitting back onto your heels again, use a cushion if you need to between the sit bones and the feet. Taking your hands to your sides and then really pointing through the feet, so feel the toes elongate, really draw them away from you towards the back of the body. And then start to lean back. So we're sending our weight, our center of gravity, further into the back of the feet here, hovering the knees and opening up now through the front of your lower legs, so your shins. Feel that stretch through the ankles. Again, think about growing tall through the back of the spine. So even if you think you're already extended and elongated in the upper body, just try and grow a little taller through the crown of the head. Soften your gaze and breathe. And then we'll stretch the back of the calf belly. So coming forward again, bringing the wrists now in line with the shoulders. Taking the weight off of those feet. Oh, you can probably feel that they're a little bit warmer now. We're flushing through the body. Extend first your right leg behind you. And then a gentle pulse forward and back. Feeling that stretch in that calf belly. And then find a point where you'd like to hold and just send the heel far behind you. Again, elongate through the upper body, so draw the crown of the head forward. And feel that beautiful stretch through the calf of this leg. And then coming into a stretch down the IT band, the side of our right leg. So let's lift that right leg, send it out to the left hand side, and then look over to the left. And you should feel it quite quickly, the stretch down the side of the body. Try and keep the upper body square. So if you've sunk down through your left shoulder, just send that left shoulder forward, square the shoulders back up. Again with that gaze, over to the left. breath in here. Let that breath out. And then send that right knee back to meet the left. If you need to pause for a moment, flick out your wrists. Then do that, and then we'll come over to the other side. So shoulders over the wrists, belly of the calf on the left leg, extend it long. And first enjoy that movement back and forth, getting blood into this area of the body. And then find a static calf stretch. So a point that feels really good. And then elongate through the upper body. Lengthen the neck. Gazing downward at the mat in front of you. Picking up the toes on that left foot now. Crossing the left foot over to the right hand side. And then follow through with your gaze over to that left ankle. Really try and come up right onto the ball of that foot. And again, notice I've just seen I've done it. My right shoulder has sunk backwards. So square up the shoulders and then take the gaze again. Really try and draw that left heel away from you. And breathe. Coming back to center now with that left leg again. Just sitting back towards the heel so we can give the wrists some relief. Edge your knees a little further out, bring the big toes together to touch, and then just melt your heart, your chest forward in an extended child's pose. Noticing already maybe how different the legs are starting to feel just after these few stretches. Come into a stretch for our quadriceps and hips. Sending the right leg forward, rise up to hands and knees, bring that right foot forward between the hands and then heel toe it out to the longer edge of your mat. Bring your fingertips to the inside edge of that right foot. And then sink down in the left hip. So you might even want to pick up your left knee and just take it a little further behind you. If this is already quite intense in that right hip flexor, just stay here, or otherwise you might roll onto the outer edge of that right foot. Now this is where we take the stretch into a bonus area where we're getting the quadricep as well as the hip flexor. Press into your left palm. Bend the knee on the right foot and then sweep that right arm behind you and catch the left foot in your hand. Feel that stretch come straight into those large muscles on the front of your left leg, your quadriceps. And if this isn't intense enough for you, then you can come down to your forearm on that left hand. You can focus on drawing the right shoulder back. And really drawing the left heel towards your left butt cheek. And smile and breathe. Let's come into a stretch from here of our right hamstring. So release that left toe. Press into both hands. Heel toe the right foot back to the center line of the mat. And then lengthen the right leg forward. Stack the hips, square to the mat. Now flex that right foot, drawing the toes in towards your shin. Push the heel away from you. Hello, Tony. And then try and elongate through the upper body again. So you notice that is a common theme here. So we're not arching our back. We're shifting our chest forward in space. And feeling that deep stretch through the right hamstring. By all means, if you have the flexibility and you want to take this further and go into a full split, you may. If you're struggling with flexibility, you can prop your hands up on blocks or supports either side. I like to go easy on myself, especially when it's just a simple stretchy Sunday, and really push into the fingertips rather than going flat palm here. And then I focus on intensifying the stretch by creating that length through the upper body. One more breath in here. And then let's send that that knee back and we'll change sides. So left foot's coming forward now between the hands and heel toe that left foot out to the long edge of the mat. Fingers come to the inside here, and then maybe picking up that right knee and just sending it a little further back. So you can draw the front of the right hip down towards the mat, sink into the stretch. Maybe we roll onto the outer edge of the left foot, up to you, just find what feels good here. Remembering that we're going to add that intensifier, that is the quadricep stretch now in your right leg. So let's kick our right foot in towards our right butt cheek. Sweep that left hand around, really push into the support of the right hand. Again, if this is too challenging for you, you can extend the length of your right arm by using a book, a prop, anything to press that palm onto. If you found this position quite comfortably, let's really focus on drawing around to the left hand side. So draw the right hip flexor forward and then draw the left shoulder back, look to the left side and draw the right shoulder forward. And then sink as low as you can, really pulling that heel in towards the bottom. Breathe and smile. It is intense, but it's good. Cleansing. Such a hot day in Christchurch too. Okay. One more breath in. And let it out. Lower that foot. Press through both palms, heel toe, left foot back into the center line, and then edge it out, extend until the heel is dug into the mat. Flex the left toes in towards you, square up your hips. So square up your hips, I mean, notice if your right hip has gone backwards. That's what it kind of wants to do when we extend that left leg long. And imagine that you've got a piece of string attached to the front of your right hip here, and it's drawing it forward so that the hips come into alignment, so that you could put this, another piece of string, we've got all this string, goes through your right hip here and then out the other side on your left hip, and it's going to be straight line. If you want to make this a deeper stretch, remember, think about drawing your chest forward in space, long upper body. You can also pick up the knee on the back foot and start to edge that knee further back, or maybe even a full split if you're a long time yogi and you're craving that. One more breath in here, and a breath out. And then let's gently draw that leg back in to meet the right. Knees now definitely as wide as the mat, big toes together to touch. And again, let's melt our hips back to our heels and take an extended child's pose. So definitely noticing now that stretching that we're doing through the legs. Before we move away from the legs, I want to spend a little more time on the hips. So rising up now to seated, and then we'll swing the legs around and come into Gomukhasana or cow face pose. Again, have some cushions handy in case you're finding this one's a little bit challenging to get into. I will show you an alternative, a half option. Hi, Tony. First, crossing your right leg in front of your left. So send the left heel right in towards your butt cheek on the right hand side, and then crossing over. I get really tight in this area, so it's such an important stretch for me to do. And what we're aiming to do here is keep the bulk of our bottom, our glutes, rested on the mat, but then at the same time keep drawing that top leg across, so your right leg aiming to line the knees up with one another. Now what can help take the intensity out of this is lifting up the sit bones and popping a little cushion underneath it. If it's feeling really impossible for you, keep a bent right leg, but lengthen, extend the left leg for what we call a half shoelace pose. So that's an alternative there. If you're in the full pose, just enjoy what's happening through the outer hips best that you can. Again, I like to push through the fingertips, lengthen the upper body. Another option, if you'd like to create a little bit more ease in the pose, is to add a cushion or some support between your knees. And breathe. So particularly we find in today's modern society where we are sitting all the time, and not sitting like a cross-legged seat, we're sitting in these quite unnatural positions for human beings, on our thrones, our chairs, that we end up with quite tight hips. So important to come to a posture like this, no matter how hard it is, and to sit this way and to sit with it and see what it brings up for you. Another little fact is that we do store quite a lot of emotions in the hips. So see what you feel as you sit here. Is it an inner resistance to what's happening? Is it an inner resistance to something that's going on for you? Try and lean into that place. And keep breathing, fresh oxygen arriving at the outer hips. Let's do a fancy transition out of here if you can. So gently pressing into the feet and then turn all the way around until you come back crossed over the other way. Don't worry if you didn't get that the first time. It takes a few goes, but have fun playing around with it. So now we've got the left leg crossed over on top, and we're really trying to press down through the sit bones so they're grounded on the earth or a cushion, whatever you need, trying to draw those knees now into alignment on this side. You'll notice differences between the legs. I certainly have them. And you can grip here onto the feet, you can press into your finger pads. You can also take a wee lean forward, find what feels good for you and let that stretch happen. Try and keep talking you through it a little bit, as I know it can be intense to stay here. So notice as well the connection between this tightness through the sides of your hips and any tension in your lower back. And that's where that pain can sometimes show up as well. Remember, we have that option to have the bottom leg, the right leg, extended out long in a half shoelace pose. Lengthen through the spine, grow taller through the crown of your head. That's really why I like doing this type of a total body stretch once a week, where we're sort of checking in with each muscle group or part of the body, as you can start to see what is happening in the body as a result of your lifestyle. So maybe you're really tight in your outer hips. What did I do this week? What caused that? Maybe you've got a lot of tension through the back of the shoulders or the neck, and you can make little adjustments in the week. So you think, oh gosh, maybe I spent a lot of time sitting and I've ended up with really tight hips, so I'm going to set some reminders on my phone this week to get up out of my chair and take a wee stretch at several intervals throughout my day. So it can even be helpful to do a little journal or something after this session and just observe how the body was. One more breath in here, and then let it out. And untangle, unwind. Oof, it's quite nice just to send the legs long and just let them flop about, flush them out. Let's travel up the body and take a stretch now into our spine. So coming back into that tabletop position, wrists are underneath the shoulders, index fingers point forward to unlock those shoulders, knees are hip distance apart. You can choose toes tucked under or feet flat. Either way, you have your feet, press them into the ground, activate. And then on an inhale, drop your belly and lift your gaze. Really create a back bend here through the spine. So draw your belly button down towards the mat. And then on your exhale, curl your belly button now to the back of your spine and arch, chin into the chest. Again, inhale, dropping your belly, lifting the gaze, draw the shoulders down away from the ears, and then exhale, arch. Now I really hand this one over to you. So these are the two movements in the spine, the arch of what we call cow posture. The back bend of what we call cow posture, and then the arch of what we call cat posture. And you can just start to get a little bit funky with this. So maybe rolls, little body rolls from side to side. A little cleansing through the spine. Maybe a little sending back of the hips to the heels on angles. So it's just about adding some fluidity to the spine. It can feel quite nice to sort of look over your shoulder, as though you're a dog giving your tail a good wag from side to side. I like to close my eyes to really feel into the back of the body. See if there's any tension, just sort of work it out, massage it out a bit. Quite done with the side body. Let's lean back now onto sitting on our feet again. Pop a cushion in there if you need to, and then taking our right hand to the right hand to the right hand side. Oh, sorry, Tony. And then pressing through the fingertips. Let's lift up and stretch through the side body on the left. So you'll notice that my forearm starts to gravitate towards the ground. It doesn't need to go there. Just notice what feels good for you. And we're thinking about opening up the chest here, so we draw the left shoulder back, the right shoulder forward. A beautiful side body stretch, changing sides. So now we're drawing right shoulder forward. Sorry, right shoulder back, left shoulder forward. Then let's get a little bit fluid with this movement. So side to side, seeing if you can reach a little further each time. Again, maybe you want to close your eyes and really feel into how this is for your body. Oh, nice. And let's stop there, travel up to the shoulders. So on an inhale, let's lift the arms. You can come into a cross leg if this is not so comfortable for your legs. I'm quite enjoying it, so I'll stay here. And crossing first the left arm underneath the right, meet at the elbow creases, maybe push the back of the hands together, or maybe you can do a double wrap and you can bring your palms together to touch. Start to send the elbows up towards the sky, the ceiling, and just notice the separation between your shoulder blades and the back of the body. Now we'll take a breath in as we lean back, look to the sky, and then exhale, draw belly button to the back of the spine, arch as we curl down. Again, inhale, lift. Exhale, belly button to the back of the spine, curl down. Once more, inhale, lift. Exhale and curl. Inhale, rise up, and then unwind, release, and we'll change sides. Good, think. Right arm underneath the left, yes. Back of the hands together, or maybe you find that press of the palms. So the opposite of what we just did, whatever that may be for you. And then on an inhale, lifting the elbows, lifting the gaze, maybe tilting the chin skyward, and then exhale, curl under. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, curl under. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, curl under. One more. Inhale, rise up. And exhale, curl inward. Unwrap, unwind, and just a little wiggle of the shoulders. Not quite done with the front of the body, the shoulder area. Favorite stretch of mine. Sending the body out long. Let's just gently draw ourselves down to laying on our bellies. So take your time to arrive here. And then take your hands in line with your chest. And then out to the side a bit. Fingers are spread wide. Check that the alignment of your thumbs to your chest is strong. And then press into your fingertips. Inhale, lift up. So we now find ourselves hovering chest above the mat. Relax the shoulders down away from the ears. And first, let's look to the right and then lower the front of the left shoulder down towards the earth. Inhale through the center. Exhale, lower the front of the left shoulder. Now, if this feels okay for you, you have an option to bring your hands a little further forward to intensify the stretch. But only creep them forward just like a little bit at a time and just see how it feels. Keep going side to side. And then pause there, come back to the center and just create a little pillow there with the palms, rest your forehead. Cobra stretch, so taking now the elbows in line with the chest, wrists are in line with the elbows, fingers are still spread with the index fingers pointing forward, and then simply lift and hold. So noticing a bit of a release here through the lower back, through the spine. Starting to really travel up the body. We'll come from here into a spinal twist. We're coming close to the finish, so I hope the body's starting to feel quite good. Let's roll onto our left hand side. So lower down gently first and then wriggle over to the left hand side and stack your right hip on top of your left. Knees are pressed against one another. Send your hands out so that your palms are resting on top of one another. You might want a block or a cushion just to prop up your left ear. And then we'll open. So a big inhale and draw that right arm as far as you can to the other side. Now again, you can use props here, so you can stack whatever to rest the back of the right hand on. Maybe it's a pile of clothes. Maybe you can recruit your partner, a friend, one of your kids to lay there so that you can use them as a prop. Maybe you're doing it together. And you can just breathe into this stretch. It should feel really good through the thoracic spine, so the middle of your spine there. And also we're still opening the shoulders. If you want, you can look over to that right side as well. And keep drawing the tip of your right knee forward to keep that alignment through the hips. Another option here, if you do find it actually strains your lower back, is to just pop a block or a cushion in between the knees. One more breath in and a breath out. Gently rolling back, and we'll just change sides. So coming gently over now into the right hand side. I'll just swivel around so I can still stay facing the camera. Left hip stacked on top of the right. Knees are comfy, pressed against one another, or maybe you've cushioned between your upper thighs. And then let's send our right arm out, with the palm facing up. Left palm comes to meet the right. And we will open. Big breath in. And take your time as you open. So maybe it's a slow journey, so that you can really ask yourself, where does it feel best to stop? Or maybe I want to pause a little bit. Maybe you even want to pause, come back, and then try again. Oh, hello, Tony. The cat's letting me rest the back of my hand on her head. And we stay here, getting that stretch through the back body. Deep breaths. Maybe you want to already start to stretch the neck up, so looking over towards that left hand. And starting to wrap up now, so let's gently draw that left hand back to meet the right, rolling back onto the tummy, and then gently let's take our hands in line with our chest, push the mat away, and come all the way up again to a seated position. Cross legs, comfortable, however you like. Back of the neck stretch. So inhale, lift the arms, interlace your fingers, take them behind your head, and then draw your chin down to your chest, let the elbows fall in towards one another. And let's make this fluid, so a couple of rounds. Inhale, open. Exhale, close the elbows, chin in towards the chest. I just did a little like half burp. That's what can happen when you start to stretch through your esophagus. And drawing the chin in towards the chest. I had a big Mother's Day feast for lunch today, which was beautiful. Lift. And then last time, let's hold down here. So feel the weight of your clasped fingers around the back of your head. And then release. Draw the hands down to your side. Just bring the head back to upright, and we'll stretch the sides of the neck. So drawing the left ear down towards the left shoulder. And you can close your eyes here and just experiment with little micro movements. Maybe a little side to side action. The chin moving back and forth, or up and down. Find what feels good. Then gently roll through the center and change sides. So now the right ear is coming down towards the right shoulder. And those little micro movements, whatever feels good. Beautiful. Last little stretch will come into is just on the other extremity. So our wrists and our hands, you need to take your left hand and just press against the fingers with your right. So we're stretching through the front of that wrist. Other side. Stretching through. You should feel the stretch in this part of the wrist here. And then again into this front part of the wrist. I think it's just front before, but that's all right. Taking them to the sides of the body, creating some little chicken wings here with the elbows going out to the side, and then really pressing. And a great opportunity to really again fill the lungs with air, because you can feel the expansion of the lungs and the side of the body against the hands. So we're really filling up, maximum volume of breath and deflating. And finally release. Just give the hands a little shake, a little open shut, whatever feels good. Come back to rest in a seated position, and just finishing again by just taking stock of how you feel in the body, how you feel emotionally, anything that came up for you through the course of this total body stretch. Maybe something that you want to revisit, spend more time with, and please go back to that posture, enjoy it. Otherwise, finally, just expressing moment of gratitude, something that you are thankful for in your life, in your heart. Focus on that for a moment. See how it makes you feel to cultivate gratitude, thankfulness. And finally, press your palms together, draw your thumbs towards your heart, bow your head down towards your hands, take a bow forward. Namaste. Thank you for joining in and for completing this yoga practice, for joining me, and also for showing up for yourself. Well done. If you have any thoughts, comments, feedback, please do leave it with me. I'd love to hear it. Otherwise, just enjoy what's left of your day.